Hey there, everyone. How you doing? You're doing all right? Well, that's great. Thanks for asking how I'm doing. Actually, so many people ask how I'm doing. It's incredible. Deeply appreciated. But I'd say, how are we doing? Well, wrecked and yet okay. I would say that's true. Wrecked and yet okay. It's not a train wreck. You know, they talk about a train wreck because it's like the most severe sort of crash. I suppose a plane wreck would be slightly worse, but I wouldn't want to be in either. Yeah, that's probably about it. So yeah, it's a really super duper tough day, a tough time of life. But that's the way that it is, and we're not the first to go through this sort of time, and we won't sadly be the last. Why do all these bad things happen? Someone said to me the other day in a hospital, why do bad things happen to good people like you and like us? Well, everyone thinks they're good. I mean, what's that about? You know, we all think we're good. How good are you going to be? Well, I'm not as bad as Fred. Well, you know Fred as well? Hey, how do we cope? It's nothing about being good or bad. It's just a crazy thing. You know, just defend your point. Well, your point is, I guess, you know, if there is a God, which you don't believe in anyway, perhaps, maybe you do. How judgmental of me. That you say, well, if there is a God, he would never tell me off for anything, and certainly not this severely. I'm not worthy of this level of punishment. Well, I really do hope that you've not gone through this level of suffering that we're going through at the moment. It's pretty tough. But whether you view it as punishment or whatever, just the way life is, just life. How do you know you're right about any of that? You might say, well, how do you know you're right about anything? This is where you like to do the zoom in a little bit, but I can't do that with my camera. Hey, bottom line is, we trust in God. It doesn't mean we don't cry, doesn't mean we don't get upset, doesn't mean we can't sleep, doesn't mean we don't eat sometimes because we can't eat and can't sleep and it's really difficult. But Christ, who did exist and does exist and is the Saviour, he has somehow kept us. And we can't recommend him enough. Yeah, it's a really, really tough day today. Today is not a good day, not a day I want to go through. I actually have the blessing of helping a dear family with a funeral service today. That could be quite tough. But for them, more than for me. But I value your prayers for the day. You know, you say, well, I don't pray. Why would you not pray? You want to pray. You want to pray. You want to pray. You want to get right with God and pray to God, your maker, and you can do that. So how do we cope with all this? Is it just bravery? Nah. It's none of that sort of stuff. It is God. It is God who's done it. Heather made me a picture, and I'll show it to you because it's lovely for an early, what do you call it? Early Valentine's Day one. There it is there. But it's rather nice, isn't it? There's one of my mum and dad disappearing into the sunset, which is kind of what's going on at the moment. But Heather made for us this little one here. I want to share it with you right now as well. This one here. You can probably see that there. It says at the top, I will lift my eyes to the hills, from whence comes my help, or where does come my help? It's an old way of saying where does. I will lift my eyes to the hills, says the psalmist. The psalmist was David, okay? It was a guy called David, and he said, I will lift my eyes to the hills, from whence comes my help. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. We took this photograph out the window when we were staying on holiday down in the south of Spain last year sometime. And just every morning was a beautiful sunrise, and every evening there was a beautiful sunset. You got it. So where does our help come from? Our help comes from the Lord. Yes, we do support one another. It's a picture of Heather and me down at Woolacombe, me reaching out to her and saying, hey, we can catch that wave there. How do we cope? We cope by trusting in the Lord. That's what we do. We look not to the creation, but to the Creator. It's what we've done for a long time, and it's what we'll continue to do. even if we can't quite get the words out. Love you all. Actually, genuinely do. Catch you soon. How do I turn this off?